Are you waiting on a lightning strike? Are you waiting for the perfect night?
Thank you for tuning in to Unstoppable Angels. I am your host, Michelle Van Etten, and here we talk about how we turn our pain into power and become unstoppable. Today's guest is Tammy Levent. Tammy Levent is a world-renowned speaker, business strategist, world travel expert, best-selling author, TV personality, and an inventor. Tammy, it's so great to have you here.
Well,
I
thank
think
you.
so much more.
Thank you. Yeah, I know the list is too long. Anyway,
It is. You are incredible.
it's good to be here. Yes, we're in another growth spurt right now, so it's squeezing all this in it's been crazy. So it's all good. It's all good. You know, I created this, so I don't know why I complain. And
Don't we always do that? You know, it's like, I don't have a fear of failure. I have a fear of success, because success is just, you're going to get busier and busier and busier. So let's take the audience through a little bit. Your story to me is probably one of the most powerful stories of somebody who has had to get up off the ground over and over again and just reach to the top. So
Yeah.
let's start from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and a little.
well, I'm originally from New York, and I didn't have a choice with that, did I? Anyway, so my parents were immigrants, my grandparents were immigrants, and I came from a Greek immigrant family. The only one that spoke English in my entire family was my mother at the time. So I was not allowed to speak any English at the home, only Greek. So I was brought up extremely strict, went to a Greek private school. My grandmother pretty much raised me. My parents had restaurants, you know, the typical Greek, my big Greek family, the same thing. So fast forward, went to school, came down here when I was younger, went to high school, but I was really smart. I don't know about that anymore, but I was really smart. And I got skipped 2 grades. So when I got skipped, no one thought about it at the time. And then came the time for me to graduate high school. I just turned 16. So I was way ahead of everyone. And then I decided to move to New York on my own. I didn't want to be here anymore. So 16, my mom says, "Where are you going to live?" I go, "I'll figure it out." And went to New York with just the stuff in my car. I had no place to live. I really didn't. I temporarily lived with my uncle and went to the laundromat and saw one of those things you peel off. And then there's a phone number, and decided to move in with these people that I don't even know who they were, 4 of them, living in West Orange, New Jersey, if you know anything about that, or East Orange, New Jersey, I'm sorry, in the worst area possible of East Orange. And it was very interesting. But I went there, I had 3 jobs, and then ended up working for a shipping company. They needed somebody just to translate in Greek. Well, that didn't work. You know how I am. Oh, that's why. Yeah, that's it. That's not going to work. So one day, bosses are gone. This lady comes in, wants to buy some stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, I can sell it to you. I'm only the translator. I am not sales." I'm 17 at the time. And I made the sale. It was like a $30,000 sale. And when my boss came in the next day, he was livid because I made the sale. And I was like, "But I'm really good at this." Like, "No, your job is translating." I'm like, "Okay, boring job I don't want to keep." Fast forward, I got really pissed off that day and decided to open up my own company at 17 and go up against him because he didn't have any competition. Well, Michelle, you know me, so you know that is definitely me. So I decided to.
I'm just like, it's just, yeah.
So, I opened up I skipped a lot though. I skipped the elevator crash when I was 7. Everyone died around me. I skipped the near murder with my.
Well, you need to go back to that. Talk about some of those things.
I will, but let's go to the good stuff. So,
okay.
So at 17, so I decided that we ship with this one company, and he's Greek and he doesn't have appliances. So I'm going to strategically partner with him at 17. I know nothing. I have no money. I'm living day to day. You know how these people say week to week? And Tammy's like, okay, I have this much. Maybe I should put my rent in a jar, put my food into the jar, the little money, and then I'll be able to budget this accordingly. So anyway, I call him and I go, listen, I don't like who I work for. Can we just become partners? And I'll give you, I know how to run the whole company. He goes, you've only been working there for 3 months. I know how to run the whole company. Give me a percentage of your company. I'll take a percentage of my company, and let's just do this together. So he started laughing. He says, you know what? Because you got big kahunas, you know what those are. I'm going to bring you in. Brings me in. And literally, it became the #1 shipping company in the United States for shipping to Europe at the time and to 20-volt appliances. And I had that for a few years and sold it, but I made my first million at the age of 20. So it was exciting.
Wow, that is amazing. Okay, now you kind of led into how your life has gone. You know, being able to go, but you need to go back a little bit because everybody's probably like, "What, the elevator?" Seriously?
Yeah. So my parents were very bizarre. My mother is still bizarre. She's gonna look
I met your mom. She's sweet.
So you know how normally you go on family vacations? Well, they don't want to do that this year. They had some work to do, so they decided to send me on my own vacation. I was 7 years old. So I was the first child ever to cross international waters with no accompanied adult. And they put me on a plane on Air France and they sent me to Greece and I was 7 years old. And then who was picking me up is the best part of the story. It really is. This is like, when I remember this once in a while, like when we have people that call for unaccompanied children, I'm like, oh my God, I remember those days. But they're like 15 now, so it's a little different. I was 7. They gave me a picture of my aunt. This is your aunt. She's picking you up from the airport. I'm looking for this woman. I'm the only one left at the airport with one little suitcase. And I'm sitting by there's no conveyor belt. I'm just sitting on my suitcase. And I'm looking, and this lady that's about 150 pounds heavier than the picture. Looks nothing like this picture. Michelle is walking towards me, and I go, she's the only one left. I don't have a choice. I mean, I was pretty smart at 7, but this kind of freaked me out. Like, you look nothing like this. So I ended up going with her. My poor aunt. Anyway, so she makes fabrics and patterns and things like that. So I'm staying with them. My mother sends me to Greece during the time of junta, which is martial law. So I can't go out and play. It was the worst 3 months of my life. So I'm in the house. And anyway, long story. She takes me out to a fabric place that we're going to look at patterns. So we were so excited. My cousin and I, same age. There's banisters. There's things to look at, play with, hide behind mannequins. Oh, we love this. This is our day out. So we got into the elevator. Too many people got on, and my aunt told me, tell them to get out because there's too many people in the elevator. So I told them in English, but they didn't get out. So obviously they didn't speak English. They didn't speak Greek. I don't know what they were, but they stayed on the elevator, and then it crashed. And going down, my aunt, there was a mirror behind us, and my aunt held my cousin and I, and her arm got completely slashed off. My cousin got all cut up. The other people died. And I was the only one that walked away with nothing, not even a nick on me. And since that day, you know, angels surround me. You know that. I mean, I died 8 years ago. See, we're going to segue into the other one. I died 8 years ago, and I'm still here. You can't get rid of me. Chris is recording this and going, what the hell?
People are going to be like, what is going on here? Oh my gosh.
Is this unstoppable something? Unstoppable.
Yeah, unstoppable angels. Yeah. All day long.
Okay, there's a lot more to me. I mean, there's a lot more to the story. They really should get the book, but let's just keep going on. What else you want to ask? Because right now, you know, I'm about 7 years old. And then fast forward, you know that I have one of the largest companies in New York. That's what we're stuck at.
Yes. And I know you have one of the largest companies in New York. And when you were 17 and you sold your company, didn't you go to Florida and open a jewelry store, if I'm not?
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
I've read your book.
Get it out of me. So then we come to Florida because I find out I'm pregnant, but I'm married. So let's put that in there. I was the good Greek girl. So ready to have the baby. And then we don't know what else we want to do since we sold the business. So we started a UPS store because we need shipping. And then we opened up a jewelry store. And there was a lot of challenges with that. But 5 years later, after we opened, to the exact day anniversary, we had armed robbers come in. I was at school at the time with the kids. The baby was little. Jordan was just 4 and 2. Katie was like 8 or 7. And my son was like maybe 9 months old, maybe. And we had an armed robbery. They came in. They beat my husband 50 to 60 blows to his head, and he had brain damage. And to this day, he's not all there. And anyway, so that was that's what happened. So we lost everything pretty much in minutes. And people say, what about insurance? Well, insurance didn't cover us because my girl had just stepped out. It was in the morning for a cup of coffee. Even though she stepped out for just a moment, the insurance writer didn't cover us. So we lost everything. And we were trying to figure out how we were going to do things. So I started working a telemarketing job. We're going to skip that one. I started working a telemarketing job. I was a top salesperson. Just want you to know that. Did I believe in what we were selling? Absolutely not. So one day the police come in. I'm like, oh shit, they're coming to get me. I know it. They're coming to get me. But it wasn't me. They were coming to get me, yes, but to tell me, unfortunately, that my grandmother and my 2 children in a very bad car accident. This is only months after the robbery. And my grandmother had passed, and my 8-year-old at the time, she turned 8, and Jordan was, a year and a half, not even 2 yet, were in intensive care. And I was just like, you can't be telling me this. And that was the worst time of my life. So we had an armed robbery, no money, and my kids in intensive care and a funeral. My grandmother raised me, so she was like my mother. And I see my kids. Katie's tongue is completely severed. Her kneecap is torn off. And my son, orbital eye is like pretty much hanging out of his whole eye. And like they had to remake all that. Dr. Ru was in Tampa. I give him kudos every time he saved my children. And I was told they probably couldn't talk or see ever again. And it's funny as a parent, and Michelle, you have kids and you understand. At that point, you don't care what they're like as long as they're alive. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that was the only thing that went through my head. We'll manage everything and anything that we can. And through rehab and through talking to her, Katie used to take the lazy way out and not want to speak. She used to write me notes all the time on everything because she couldn't talk. And then one day I was just like, and then, we would go through therapy, but it was like starting the vowels all over again and this and that. I go, I know this child can talk. I took everything away from her. She couldn't write to me. She wanted to communicate. She would have to talk to me. Whether I understood it or not was a different story. But the thing is that she had to communicate with me verbally. And Michelle, do you not know now? You know that she sings.
Yeah, she sings beautifully. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm like, it's so hard to believe that Katie had anything at all.
I started the record label years later, right, just to prove that she could sing. And she won an Unsung Hero Award from Berry Gordy, and exactly. So everything is possible. There is no such thing. My son has had a few challenges, some headaches, some things, but he's fine. He's doing great. He's got an amazing job. We're doing fantastic with the kids. So, and Katie's vice president of the company at Elite. So basically the kids are in intensive care, worst time of my life. Ironically, the day before the accident was when I moved locations from one to another as the telemarketer trainer, because that was so good. I became the trainer. So they gave me a pleather whip. Now you know the story of the whip. See, I don't know if you remember that story or not, but anyway, they gave me a little pleather whip, which I don't know, is it up here? No, I always have it. I probably put it away for now, but it's a pleather little whip about this long. And it basically, they gave it to me as Tammy the trainer, whipped them into shape, blah, 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 put it into my purse. I must have taken everything out and in my purse. I don't know how many times because I was so fidgety and not knowing what was going on. And the day before, I told my grandmother, please make sure the kids have their seatbelts on because you're driving and you never know, blah, blah, blah. That didn't happen either. So that's the reason that they had so much injury. They hit a house going 45 miles an hour straight into the house. And Katie turned the steering wheel to avoid hitting the house, but she didn't know how to put the car into neutral or park. She saw us doing it, but she didn't know how to squeeze the button. So she just couldn't get it there. And when she turned it to the right, her grandmother's body fell on top of her and her brother, and that's how they got saved. If her grandmother did not fall on top of them, then more than likely they wouldn't be here today. So, but there's always angels around and watching over us. I truly believe that. So I was in the hospital, and of course I'm not sleeping, and the nurse comes in and she goes, if it has nothing to do with money, what would you do? So I'm looking at her like, lady, I don't even know where I'm going to find food for tomorrow. And you're telling me if it has nothing to do with money, but whatever. So I answered her question. I said, I would travel the world. And she said, that's what you need to be doing. I said, sure. I'm just going to start a travel agency like that. Like I have the money, I have the resource, I have everything. She brought me a newspaper and I got a job in outside sales for a travel company. And fast forward, he retired. I started working there. He retired 2 years later, and I took over all of the accounts from mine anyway. I was doing outside sales. Then I took over, and then I started my own agency, which was over 28 years ago now. Seems like yesterday. Longer than that. Yeah, 26 years ago is when I started to travel, but in the industry about 28 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
Been through a lot. Been through 9/11. Been through.
So 9/11 hits.
Here's the best part. So I decided to open my own on September 1st, 2001.
I would cry for you, but at this point I'm just like, I know the story, so I'm going, everybody else gets to learn it. And I'm like, this is just, it's one movie after another.
Right? But before that, before September 1st, or that day, September 1st, that night, what is it, Labor Day every year we have a hurricane? Yeah. So this hurricane or tropical storm hits, and I'm on the top floor. Oh, Tammy needs the top floor for her office. I'm on McMullen Booth now, my first location. Well, there was a roof leak. So all the ceiling tiles fell on top of all our computers. Plop. Well, we would walk in and they were like bubbling. And at the time, it was pretty funny. My son was just messing around because, you know what they do when they're kids. I don't have to tell you. Comes in with the broom because I'm trying to do the vacuum. Comes in with a broom and goes, what happens if you go up with
no.
So you all of this. I'm like, stop doing what they're doing. There's no need to go further with this. You did 3 already.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, we got all the insurance covered us for that. Now we're good. We have brand new computers. We're ready to work. Everything's good. Thank God everything was backed up. Ready to go. 9/11 hits. I'm like, this cannot be happening. Half of my employees walked out. Then, horrible. And then people were calling, I want to cancel my trip. I can't do that because it's like, we just can't do that. Well, because of that is how I survived COVID now. So basically, I got on the phone with each customer, people that are doing weddings of 150 people. And I'm like, is the $200 deposit you gave going to make or break you at this moment? Can we please just wait 30 days? And if you still want to cancel, we'll cancel. But what happens in 30 days, Michelle? People calm down, Our government comes in and says, we're going to take care of this. Everything will be fine. So you wait for that. And when that happens, then by then everyone is calmed down, except for one person, because a few days after that, do you remember the plane that crashed in Queens?
Yeah.
It was on top of her father's house. So she goes, I don't think I want to fly anywhere. Her dad was in 9/11 in the building and he survived. And then they hit his house in Queens, and that's where the plane that was not even a terror attack, was it? I think it was just random that a plane crash happened like a week later in Queens. I'm like, okay, I understand. You get your daughter.
You're like, you don't have to fly anywhere. I understand completely. I'm good.
So that happened. And then we had to regroup and get everything back to working. And then everything was great. And everything is working and doing fantastic. And, you get your little life situations in between. We moved to another location. We moved to Palm Harbor. We did other moves. And then I'm trying to think, the biggest thing that happened was 8 years ago, I ended up being diagnosed with breast cancer. And it was Memorial Day weekend, which is coming up now, I think the 9th year, which was really crazy because when I was told, I didn't believe it. It was like, yeah, you must be calling the wrong person. There's no way. Okay. So then they told me again, and they go, it's malignant and it's spreading and you need to do something with it right away. This is my exact answer, Michelle, and I know you will believe it because you know me. Okay, well, when do you want me to come in? Well, you have to come in like we have an availability next week, June or whatever. I said, I can't come in next week. I have to go to Canada and do a speaking event. I have to go to Jamaica and do a task event. TASK, by the way, is a training program to help struggling travel agents. And I built, which now officially as of January, which nobody knows yet because I haven't officially put it out yet because we're waiting for this mega press release, is an accredited travel school with ASTA.
Awesome. Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. That's why all the awards. I had to get 30 awards to prove to them that I'm a real school. So, so anyway, and prove to them that they really do learn with me.
It's the high heel sprint of the century going on right now.
I've never seen such a determined group of high heel sprinters.
They've got the heel of the tiger, that's for sure.
They're all in European heels.
Competing today are 1-inch heels, 2-inch heels, 3-inch heels, even a 4-incher. And they're on their mark. And they're off.
Good form as they round the first curve.
How can they run like that in those European heels?
It's the cork foundation in the shoes. It acts like a natural shock absorber.
If they can run on these heels, they can do anything.
They're pounding that pavement like a herd of gazelle. So far, nobody's tumbled to the ground.
They're approaching the finish line.
Hey, you'd look good in a pair of those heels.
I would look fantastic, and I could run like the wind.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing. I could keep running in these 4-inch heels all day long.
I thought for sure I would break an ankle, but I could run all day.
Fall in love with heels again. You can't beat the feel of a European heel. European heels. Heels without the hurt.
And now we're traveling the world. We go to Egypt and Dubai and Greece. So maybe you should become a travel agent, Michelle. So, and then
Maybe. I love to travel.
That might be a bad idea for you. I'm just saying, I know you personally, and you would excel at this. So, and then you get to travel and do what you need to do. So, long story short, they told me that, and then I said, I have to go do task in Jamaica, and then I have to go to St. Lucia and pick up my P-Town Award, which is that triangle one right there. That's my P-Town Award, selling the most of St. Lucia. So I put that on the top as a reminder of everything that's happened to me. And that's my reminder of we're only going this way. It's only up from here. It's the simplest award. It's probably the least of all my awards as far as what it represents. But it was the most important award because it was the worst time for me. And I have things as a reminder. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
So I went to Canada. That was all done and well, but my whole mind is racing at this point. Then I go to task in Jamaica, and that was racing the whole time. Then I go to St. Lucia, and there's a woman, only one other person is sitting at the beach, not doing that jet thing that you come out of the water.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Me and her. And it's not that I'm afraid. It's just that I don't want anything to happen to me 5 days before I'm going in for surgery, So I said to her, so why are you here? And I see a port. And she goes, oh, I don't want to take a chance. I've had cancer. My bones are brittle and blah, blah, blah. And we started talking. I said, well, I just got diagnosed with breast cancer. She goes, so did I. She goes, I wish that I'd never done treatment. I wish I never did radiation. I wish I never did chemo because that is exactly why I'm in the shape I'm in, and the cancer metastasized. They gave me 6 months to live, but now it's 8 years later. It's 8 years later that I'm still here because I got onto this regimen of doing this CBD oil, but it's an extract of a certain kind, and only one person in the whole world does it, and he is in hiding. Just true. I only got to meet him after 7 years of being on this. He came out to see me because I brought 10,000 in cash, and he's like, I got to meet this person. And then he came out and we talked, and he's out in California. And she says, please don't do anything. Trust me, don't trust them. And I'm going to give you this contact and start taking this as medication. I'm like, okay, this sounds so bizarre right now. So I do the surgery. Before I get into the surgery, they're prepping me, and I've had many surgeries. I've had 2 hit-and-run car accidents, 2 neck surgeries. I've had back surgery. I've had broken feet, broken everything, gallbladder, you name it, I've had it all. Surgery does not frighten me at all. I'm ready to be wheeled in. The anesthesiologist has more plastic surgery than Cher. And I seriously looked at him and just thinking to myself, this guy's really not going to be in charge of my life, but okay. He goes to me, okay, we're ready to go. I said, I feel really sick. I feel really nauseous, and we need to stop surgery. I just had a premonition. Ever since the elevator, I know people are going to think I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. Ever since the elevator crash, I have a lot of premonitions, and I talk to people about them. Michelle, you know, because I talk to you about them. I talk to people about them, and they come true. So it's real. I said, I'm going to die. I saw my death. You got to stop surgery now. You're not going to die. Yes, I am. I see it. I'm going to die. He just stopped surgery. Wheel me into the operating room. The doctor's here scrubbing. I go, Doc, please stop surgery. Well, I can't do that. That's up to him. I'm like, oh my God, no one's going to stop surgery. I put my hand down my throat. So if I throw up, maybe they'll have stop surgery. Nobody stopped it. They put me under. Next thing I know, I'm waking up, and there's all these doctors and nurses staring at me in front of me. And I'm just staring back. And I'm like, why is everyone staring at me? This is not normal. Normally, it's like my husband giving me ice chips or something. What's going on? Are you okay? Yeah, I feel fine. Okay, you're good to go. Very bizarre. Rushing me out of the hospital. I am so groggy, can't even get into the car. My husband goes, this is very bizarre. Get me into the car. I come home. I'm not feeling right. Come home. I made my own yogurt. I go to eat it. Katie's helping me. I go, Katie, what did you put in this yogurt? It's really crunchy. And she looked at me, and you know what happened. She looked at me. She goes, Mom, what? Meanwhile, I'm under anesthesia, so I can't feel anything. You know what I mean? She's like, open your mouth, open my mouth. And all these front teeth are gone. They're all cracked, shattered. I died on the table. They had a student intubate me. He didn't know what he was doing. And he pulled, I guess, the wrong way, broke all my top teeth. And they left me like that. And they take no responsibility. I said, I don't think so. And thank God for Jackie Calloway with ABC, because my attorney couldn't even do anything because I signed the waiver. But the thing is, the key point here is my attorney told me to go. This is a good pointer for all of you. I learned so much from this. He said, do not say one word. I want you to go to the hospital and get all your records and do not say one word. I get all my records, every single record, every single one, Michelle said. Patient asked to stop surgery, complications, aspirated, intubation, right? That's all I needed. So I didn't sue them. I said, I'm not going to sue you because you know what? It's a moot point. You guys are going to do this over and over again, but you are going to pay for my teeth. So they said, oh, they shouldn't cost more than like $5,000. I go, what kind of teeth are you going to put in? Because I'm on TV and I'm a speaker. I need good teeth. So
like, they're going to be the best. There's not,
We're not going to do George Washington wooden teeth here. Okay. So they go ahead and they pay $20,000 and I got the teeth fixed. And yeah. So that happened to me. But then the premonition started getting stronger and more. And I listen more. I write things down now because I'm telling you, there's angels everywhere. When they talk to me, I write and I listen. And because of that, I'm where I'm at right now with Heavenly Cups. Okay, we're going to stop there because I don't know how long you have, and we're going to segue and you can ask me anything you want.
So now we've gotten into the travel. We've talked about how they almost killed you. Now that you did do this regimen and you are cancer free.
No radiation, no chemo, stage 2, malignant. That's all I'm going to tell you, right? 8 years later, it's going to be 9 years.
Yes, I'm so excited.
And I do the regimen every day. I still do it as a preventative. So
as everything's going crazy, you have the busiest travel agency pretty much in the world, and you are teaching a school, you're on TV doing your segment. You go to Greece with your mom. She brings you donuts or luxemedias, right? Did I say that right?
I go to Greece with my group. With my Greece group that I do every year. I do some kind of group. We go to Greece and I try the luxemedias and they're not good.
They're not? I had it there because when I was in Greece, I'm like, I have to find these. They're so good because I had yours. I was like, and so you come back and decide you can do this better. Well, I did make that decision, but not really. It wasn't firmed yet. Okay. So while I'm sleeping, this is 2 years later. Okay. It wasn't like right away. I can't. Right now I have the travel school. It's my bag. I collect suitcases for foster care kids. That's a charity. I have tasks blowing up. Things are going great. 2 years later, I have a dream. And I have an angel tugging on me in the dream, a little girl, like 2 years old, telling me to make her stupid luxemedias. And I tell her, she'll go away, but the dream keeps reoccurring every single day. So this is probably around my birthday in July. At this point, we went to Ireland. So Greece was first, then Spain, then Ireland. So 2 years later, I haven't done anything yet, right? Because no one's tugging at me. So now it's after Ireland. So that was like September-ish, October. It was middle of September. That was so fun.
2018, right? So this is...
No, 19. It was 2019.
2019, before COVID, 2019. So this is in the middle of 2020. In the summer of 2020 is when all this came about. And I get this tug. I'm like, hey, babe, we really should think about opening up a food truck and serving luxemedias. Okay. He's all listening to me. You know, Rob, he'll always listen to me. So we said, okay. So we go ahead and we're like going to go get the food truck. While we're going to look at the food truck, the angel is like smiling. I see like a vision, like she's happy. And I'm like, all right, dude. Okay. And then I don't know what compelled me, because I still have that screenshot of that day. I look at my phone. It's 11/11 and it's August 8th. I have goosebumps right now. Like you can't even make this up. So I'm looking at it and I go, okay, I know what 11, what's 8/8? And I look up Angel 88 for some reason. The angel of prosperity. Anything you do this day will prosper and flourish like you have for your friends, for your family, for a lifetime. It's like a legacy. You will never, ever be steered wrong. Like this is it. So we go there. Poor Rob. I know Chris is a guy and he's your engineer and he's listening. Can you imagine as a man, here's your wife like, we're going to do this now. So we go and they give us the quote to look at. And I said, yes, we're going to buy it right now. There was no discussion. There wasn't even like, that's like you and your husband. Don't even go there. You know that, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I came back from Ireland. I'm like, we're moving. 4 weeks later, we had our house on the water. Right?
So I'm like, dude, we're buying it. And Rob's like, the kick under the table, like, don't we have to talk about it first, honey? No. Nope, the angels told me what to do. The who? The what? I got it covered. Don't worry. So we go ahead and I said, yeah, we're going to pay for it cash. Here you go. Put it on my credit card. And my husband's totally freaking out at this point. I go, don't worry. We'll be fine. We're going to make it. So we're driving back. I'm ready to die laughing. We're all driving back. And he goes, what are these things again? I go, it's a little fried dough. It's 2,700 years old. And we're just going to make it. Nobody has them in a food truck. We're going to make them in a food truck. Not that nobody has them. They make them. It's going to make them fresh, but we're going to make them fresh in the food truck. He goes, you know how to make them? I go, oh, no. I don't have a recipe, but the angel will help me. And now he really thinks I've lost it. Like, it's Baker Act time for me. I can tell. So we come home, August 15th, another big holiday for us. I invited everybody from church, Greek Orthodox Church, by the way, to come to my house afterwards and try them to see what they think. Dude, I had people in and out of this house. I don't even know who they were. I was like, who are you? Doesn't matter. Come in, try them. In and out. The mayor came. All these people came. And they were like, yes, they're amazing. Great. We did a good job. The truck will be here. The date of the truck delivery was 11/11. The truck gets delivered. The truck gets delivered. We start our business. We're doing all these. You know what? It was 2019 when I started the food truck. That's what it was. We started that because 2020 is when everything happened and went downhill for us with the C word. So it was December. I started all the festivals, everything. 2021, I'm in quarantine because we're in 2022. So 2021, I'm in quarantine. And I remember one person telling me when he was really drunk, and I'm not going to mention his name because you know him, everyone knows him, and he's in South Tampa and he owns a restaurant. And he goes to me at 4:30 in the morning after New Year serving my luxemedias. You know, if you make these, frozen for food service, you make a lot of money and you sell them at restaurants. Okay, great idea. Didn't care for it at the time. It was January. Now comes COVID. Because that was January of 2020. We already had the food truck for a year. It was definitely 2019. 2020 had come then. 2021, sitting in quarantine. Travel, doing what? Nothing. Only local, like US travel. Task school was actually, we were going to have a class in June, and I did have it in June. I don't know how, but I had 30 agents there, but nothing new booked other than that one class. All my travels were halted. Everything stopped. So I said to my husband, I said, I'm going to fire up the truck. This was March, and I'm going to try to make these, invent them for food service that no one in the world has ever done. And he, okay, knock yourself out, whatever. What do you need from me? Nothing, just start the food truck. We can't go anywhere. We can't do anything. It was that stupid mandated, month long. Now, if everything could go wrong, Michelle, it was going wrong. I went to the supermarket. Can I get flour? Can I get yeast? Do you remember when it was all out of everything?
Everybody was buying it up.
Right. So I went to the restaurant supply store, but they had it. So then I would order everything there. I bought a lot of it. So Rob was like, are you sure you should be spending money now? I'm like, leave me alone. I'm inventing something. I'd go to the truck. I swear I cannot make this up. I'd go to the truck and start working on the truck late at night so nobody would be around and I could do this. The police come day one. You can't be doing this. You can't be serving. I said, I'm not serving. I'm trying to invent something. You're in my way from doing this. Leave me alone. Day two, police come again. I go, I can't. Arrest me. What can I tell you? The police were there every day that I was doing this. They were giving me citations, a zoning problem. I'm like, I'm not stopping. I don't care what you do. So I didn't stop. 3 weeks later, I invented it. It came through. Our first guy I went to was the drunk that told me that I couldn't invent it. Brought it to him, could not believe that it was frozen for food service. And now, fast forward, we were not even supposed to be in the Super Bowl because we didn't even have our business for 2 years. But I ended up leaving the food truck. That was March. By August, we left the food truck and had to get into another location. I got a manufacturing license out of my food truck. Never, ever in the history was that ever done with the FDA, right?
Yeah.
Got into another location, manufactured them out of my food truck still, was bringing them into the catering facility of Delectables, but we outgrew that. Ended up bringing the machine in just a few months ago, working in there with that. And we ended up getting into the Super Bowl. We serve 36,000 people a day. For 13 days, if I had to make this product on site, I would never be able to fulfill that order, ever. We got into supermarkets in Canada. We're in over 200 locations now, churches around the country. And now we're moving, which has not been announced yet. All my announcements are on your show.
Yay!
April 1st, we're moving into our own location, our own facility in Tarpon, right on alternate 19.
That is amazing. I'm so happy for you. I was there. You invited me when you invited the church. I was at your house. I saw the mayor. They are amazing.
That's right. You were there, right?
Yes,
Everyone was there. Yep. I didn't even know who these people were, except for maybe 20 of them.
I know. You were just sitting there making it. And then the flour, because it got too hot or something, yeast, and it started to go over. And you're like, I can't do that. I just got to go back here.
And then I ran out. There was no more flour. I had nothing. I couldn't make any more.
You've impressed me forever. Your ability and your talent and your skills are just unbelievable. I would love for you to tell people where they can find you.
Well, I do have my own website, tammylevent.com. For my own personal website, you can buy my book, Sink or Swim. I'm working on my second book, still floating. Segue to Sink or Swim. Get it? Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
And, they can definitely go to heavenlypups.com and see that entire process of what we're doing. EliteTravelGroup.net. And there's 20 more after that, but those are the most important. Oh. And the Heavenly Pups will be opening wholesale only. People tell me all the time, open up a retail location. I'm like, I can't. Unless Michelle comes and runs it, I can't.
Yeah, I'm not seeing retail in my future anytime soon. Travel maybe, but retail.
You know what? You're like me. I do festivals, and this is what I get. I'm holding the bowl, right? And I'm pouring. They see me pour honey all over it, right? But it melts and it goes to the bottom because they're super hot. I get this the minute I give it to them. Can I have more honey? Did you look on the bottom that we have about an inch thick of honey under here and just dip it? So yeah, retail and I will not happen.
I'm with you. Tammy, thank you so much for being here today. And you are definitely an unstoppable angel. Oh my goodness. Your story is going to definitely give people something to think about when they worry about if they can do it or not. You've walked through every challenge under the sun. And as you say, there is no word called no. You know, even with COVID, right? Yeah. You just said it. If it wasn't for 9/11, you have all these travel agencies that shut down. What is the first thing I did? I picked up the phone. I did the same thing. If it worked then, it's going to work now. I called them. Michelle, you have a trip booked. You have $300 deposit on it. Is COVID going to go away? And then you're going to want to rebook. So don't lose the 300. Let's just hold on to it. What are you going to say? Okay. Exactly. And trust me. And the process works. So don't start panicking is my best, advice that I can give people. Start really sit back, weigh the situation out, and then go forward and make moves and take action. Because I think that people panic, they rush to do things, and that's when things start failing and falling apart instead of taking the time to regroup, think about where you're at, restructure everything, and then move forward. Because everything can be fixed. Everything is possible. I agree, 100%. And thank you so much for being here today. Thank you.
Glutathione is a big word. It's the body's own master antioxidant. It's a scavenger for free radical, bacteria, and viruses. There are no products in the market with the ingredient NASET. NASET increases the production of glutathione that's in our body already to strengthen and enhance our immune system, elevate sense of well-being, support muscle strength and endurance, cognitive function, and liver support. It helps with increased energy and blood sugar regulation. Get your bottle of GSH Plus from www.salvationnutra.com.